this lie to myself, man, this sucks. Things are always going to be this way. And that's emotional funks that we go into because, not at all times in business is it going to be is it uphill, right? A lot of us, we want it to be always going up, 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 up. But sometimes we face a lot of times in the business where it's down, 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 down. And in this entrepreneurship journey, it's like a roller coaster. You could be up one day, down the next day. You could be up for a few weeks and then be down for a few weeks. We call it the seasons, right? There's times it's winter. The winters is when it's cold, it's tough. You can't seem to figure it out. You can't seem to enroll nobody. The business isn't growing, right? Then we have the springs. Okay, after winter comes spring. This is when you start to plant the seeds. This is when, things are starting to move around a little bit. You're starting to find new leaders, the whole stuff, right? The summer, what's the summer for? The summer is for growth. This is where the growth starts to happen. This is where new leaders, this is where momentum in your organization starts to come in and the whole nine. And then the fall is for the harvest. Right, the fall is for the harvest. This is when you get to reap the harvest of all the work you put in for the last 90 days, for the last 6 months. And this is super important. So everything happens for a reason, and no season lasts forever. All right, every wave must crash, and momentum comes in waves, and that's something you got to understand. All right, so this is super, super important. And what determines your success in life is who can build after the hype. All right, who can build after the wave crashes? Who can build when everything has to go right back to the beginning? This is super important. And I inspire you that with how hard you work, with how hard you work, you break the chains that are holding you back. Break the change that you are searching for. Because you see, the problem is because you tell yourself these lies, you start to believe these lies. And think about it. Think about the lie you're telling yourself. Things are always going to be this way. But things aren't always going to be that way. Because if you're looking for change, you don't want things to stay the same. Imagine telling yourself this when you're broke and you have nothing going your way. Imagine telling yourself that to the point where you believe it. You tell yourself enough, things are always going to be this way. And at the moment, you're broke. Your financial situation sucks. Your relationship with your significant other is not at the best place. Imagine continuously telling yourself this. That's the reality you're going to create for yourself. So understand, fam, the things are not always going to be this way. It's up to you to change those things. Okay, it's up to you. All right? Always move forward. Things are going to be the way that you design them to be. They're not always going to be the way they are. They're going to be the way that you design them to be. You create your own reality. You create the success that's happening in your life. The same way you created the results that you currently have in your life right now. Take a look around. Take a look at your financial situation right now. Take a look at the relationships in your business right now. Take a look at the job. Take a look at the house you live in. Take a look at the car you're driving right now. You created that. You created that reality right now. Now, the same way you created that reality, and listen, I know some of you guys might not be like, man, Banano, this is not the reality that I want. But look, it's the reality that you created. Embrace it because you created it, regardless of anything. No one else did. All right. But now what you got to do is you got to change your focus. All right. And when you change your focus and you focus on abundance, you focus on prosperity, you focus on opulence, massive, massive success, then guess what can happen for you, fam? Now you can create a better reality for yourself that's based on basically riches, wealth, and just massive, massive amounts of success. So as a leader, don't tell yourself these 5 lies. Number 1 is, I'm not good enough. That's a lie I don't ever want to hear you tell yourself. You are good enough. Number 2, if people really knew. Hey, I know if people really knew, but look, remember, we can't heal what we hide. So stop hiding the challenges and the demons you're facing inside. Put them out there. And I'm not saying put them out there on Instagram and to the world. Put them out there to a friend and to someone that you feel like can guide you, that has probably faced the same challenges and the same demons that you had, and see how we can heal those, all right? Number 3 is I deserve more credit. Remember, it's not about you, it's about the team, okay? And if you want more credit, give more credit. Number 4, it's all on me. It's not all on you. It's on the team. Remember, together, everyone achieves more. And number five, things are always going to be this way. It's not always going to be that way. It's going to be the way that you design it to be. And when you design it to be the way that you want it to, then that's when you will create the perfect and beautiful life that you've always envisioned yourself to live. All right, guys? So don't tell yourself these lies. Tell yourself the complete opposite. Believe in yourself, believe in different truths, and remember that the truth will set you free. All right, guys. So that's that episode for today, guys. I hope you guys are truly, truly enjoying season 2 of Mornings with Nano. Promise you, I'm coming with more and more fire here in the next few weeks. All right, guys. So with that being said, I will see you guys at the top because the bottom way too crowded. Thank you for listening to Mornings with Nano. I would really appreciate it if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and leave a comment below on how Mornings with Nano has brought value to your life. Also, I would really appreciate if you guys follow me on Instagram at Long Live Nano, Neno, so I can get you guys plugged into my morning masterminds at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Remember, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the top because the bottom is way too crowded. All right, let's get this call started. Let me just, right here we go. Setting it up, and we are ready to go, familia. All right, awesome. There we are. Grand Rising Familia. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is feeling good. Everybody's feeling aligned. Let me see something. Hold up, guys. This looks a little blurry on my side. Let me just clean it up real quick. There we go. That looks a lot better. Grand Rising fam. How's everybody feeling this morning? How's everybody doing? I am so excited for another episode of Mornings with Nano. YouTube edition, right? And I'm so blessed. Real quick, if you've done your morning routine thus far, put a 222 in the chat box. If you guys have done your morning routines thus far, the power of perception. We're going to be going over a powerful training today, which is the power of perception. And I'm very excited because, you know, anytime we get a chance to talk about the way we look at things, there's always a breakthrough that can happen. So I'm really looking forward to today's call. I hope everybody is doing their morning routines every morning. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's feeling blessed. You know, I just had a really good shoulder workout with some biceps, and I'm just truly feeling amazing and on top of the world. My body's getting stronger. You know, my mind is getting stronger. I'm more clear. I'm learning so much. You know, I'm really in a good state of mind right now. And I'm just very blessed and very grateful, you know, to be in this position. One time before we get started, I want to let you guys know, please send this out to all your friends, family members. You know, let your teams know, let your Telegram chats know that Mornings with Nano is live and free on YouTube, guys. These calls are absolutely valuable. And I want to make sure that you guys are truly taking advantage of these calls, not only for yourself, but also for the people around you, so that, you know, you can be able to take advantage of the next step in your life and exactly what it is that we want to do. And then one thing I always love to do before we do get started is let's practice some gratitude, okay? What is one thing that you are grateful for on this beautiful Tuesday morning, August 20th? I am grateful for God. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my mind, my body, my spirit. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my mom, my dad, my little brother, my goddaughter, and my godson. I'm extremely grateful for my team, everyone in Digital Dynasty. I'm extremely grateful for all the leaders in the organization. I'm grateful for the whole entire Mornings with Nano community. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. As a matter of fact, today is a Mornings with Nano anniversary as well. So I'm grateful for 5 years and 2 months. Every 20th of every month is a Mornings with Nano anniversary. So I am grateful to be on this call with all of you guys and be able to really tap in, you know, to what it is that we're going to talk about here on today's call. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep sharing this call with everybody. Let me see here real quick. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the power of perception. I hope you guys are ready. This is going to be a really good call. I want you guys to make sure to take notes. Couple house rules, three house rules. House rule number one is turn off all devices of distractions. We'll be here for about 30, 40 minutes. So I need you guys fully locked in from this point moving forward. House rule number two is take notes. Okay, take notes. This is going to be a very powerful call. You don't want to miss it. Okay, and then house rule number three is listen with the intention to apply. Okay, now we're going to be talking about today the power of perception. Now, real quick, if you're ready to take notes, if you're ready for this call, I want you to type perception in the chat. If you guys are ready on Instagram, type perception in the chat. If you guys are ready here on YouTube, type perception in the chat so I know who's actually ready. Okay, I want to see who's ready for today's call because this call is going to be a good one. Okay, Michelle's ready. Daniel's ready. Seven is ready. Nikki's ready. Linda, Vanity, Martin is ready. Mike is ready over here. Alina, Natasha, Haley, Regine, Myra, Eunice, Royalty, Leaf, Jojo. Who else? Sophia's ready. KD is ready. Belkis is ready. Eunice is ready. Maya's ready. Diamond's ready. We're all ready. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Jasmine's ready. The whole gang is ready. Okay, now we're gonna start this up. Vern is on here with me, is ready. Jeech is ready. Ayana's ready. Everybody's ready. All right. So we're gonna start off the call with this. Okay, write this down. Perception is what you see. Okay, perception is what you see. Perspective is how you see it. That's how we're gonna start today's call. Perception is what you see. Perspective is how you see it. Now, remember this. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. I'm going to repeat this again. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. So, if we want the things that we're looking at to change, then what do you guys think we got to do? I'm going to ask you guys that question. If we want the things that we're seeing to change, then what do we need to do? We have to change, right, Nikki? We have to change, right? Like Linda said, because if we change ourselves, then we will be able to change the way that we look at things. Our perception will change. And it's very important for us to understand this, okay? Because we're in a time right now in our journeys and our lives and our years and especially this year that we need to change the way that we're looking at things. Okay, and let me explain to you guys why. Remember, perception is what you see. Okay, perspective is how you see it. Okay, so you got to think about perception right now. What is it that's happening in your current situation? What is your reality right now? What are you seeing? Do you have the results that you want? Are you making progress? Do you feel like you're struggling? Do you feel like you're not where you want to be at? Right? It's a very tricky thing because even for me, I've had to have my perspective shifted because perception is what you see, right? So, for example, I had this situation once with Matt Rosa. Let me tell you guys a story. We're sitting in at the lobby in Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal. We're on tour actually, and whenever you get a chance to travel with someone who's had the success that they've had, like Matt Rosa, you tend to have moments where you ask questions. So I'm sitting down in the lobby and I'm talking to him and I'm like, bro, let me ask you a question. I said, bro, sometimes I feel like I could be a lot further than I am right now. Like, I feel like, yes, I'm grateful for where I'm at and how much I've done, but I feel like I could be so much further. Okay. Has anybody else felt like that, right? Put a one in the chat box if you ever felt like that. Like, yeah, bro, like I've gotten to this point, but I feel like I could be a lot further, right? I feel like I could, it almost felt like at this point I would have be, a lot further than I thought I could be, right? Because, we've worked so hard, we've done so many presentations, you know, we we've traveled so much, we've read so many books, we've stayed down when everybody folded and we haven't quit. So, I was kind of asking him this legit question because it was on my mind. Okay. And I was like, bro, sometimes I feel like I should have been a lot further. Remember, that was my perception. That was what I was seeing based off of my current results. Okay. Based off of my current results. And this is what he said to me. And this is where the perspective, remember, is how you see it. He said, Nano, I understand where you're coming from. He said, but let me ask you a question. He said, 5 years ago, when you got started, let me ask you a question. If I would have told you that in 5 years, you would be making multiple six figures, that you would have traveled to over 25 countries, that you've become a mindset educator, that all these things would have happened for you, wouldn't you have been extremely grateful that that would have happened for you in 5 years? And I said, of course. He said, you see, the difference is that you haven't taken the time to appreciate how far you've come because you're so focused on where you want to go. And I paused for a little bit and I thought about it. And I'm like, he's right. If I would have thought about it back then, like, look at how far I've come. Look at how much progress I've made. I'm so focused on how much more I want to accomplish that I haven't appreciated how much I've already done. I needed that perspective change because remember, perception is what you see, perspective is how you see it. He had to change the way that I was seeing things because, like we say, if we change the way that we look at things, okay, if we change the way that we look at things, the things we look at change. So I went from being, man, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. I almost felt unhappy with where I was at. But in reality, I had to look at it like, look at how far I've come. I'm a young kid from Washington Heights. 5 years ago, I was broke living at my parents' house. Today, I'm a multiple six-figure earner, mindset educator, podcast host, 20 plus countries traveled, all these amazing things happening for me. Instead of me worried about how much more I should be getting, I should learn how to be grateful for everything I do have. Because back then, I was praying for the moments that I'm living today. And now that I have them, I want more. And I say that to you guys because sometimes we get so caught up in the comparison because we see, and it was what was happening to me. I saw other people that I'm like, wait, bro, like this person has already bought their house, they're already driving their dream car, they already retired their parents. And I'm like, bro, I feel like I should have already done that as well. But he's like, don't focus and don't distract yourself with other people. Because, like we always teach, and it's something that I always teach. What do we always say? Comparison is what? Who can finish it for me in the chat? I know some of my OG mornings when I know people can finish that quote for me. Comparison is blank. What is it? Who can finish it for me? Comparison is the thief of all joy. Is the thief of all joy. And that's what I was doing at the moment. I was comparing myself. And it was robbing me of all the joy that I could feel at the moment for everything that I did have, for everything that I did accomplish, for everything that I have progressed with. And I share that with you guys here on today's call because sometimes we let our perception, okay, get in the way of our perspective. We let the fact that what we see okay, affect how we see things. Not realizing that every single one of you that are listening to this right now, the 120, 30 plus that we have on this call right now, we sometimes let the fact that we haven't gotten there, we let the fact that we haven't gotten there, we let that affect the way that we feel about here, which is where we are right now. We're so focused about getting there that we're not appreciating here. We're not being grateful for here. We're not realizing that we've actually gotten here. So many people doubted that we wouldn't get here. So many people thought we wouldn't get here, including ourselves. Look at how much progress we've made. Look at how much we've grown. You went from never having a morning routine to now having a morning routine. You went from never reading a book to reading a book. You went from never journaling and writing down your goals to now writing down your goals every day. You went from not having a relationship with God to now having a relationship with God. You went from, a certain amount of weight to losing weight. You went from having a skinny body to now having a strong body, right? Be grateful for the progress that you're making and stop comparing yourself to everything else on social media. Social media has a huge role to play with that. Because guess what? Social media will create this image and will create this perception, okay, that everybody is living the most amazing life. It'll create that. And what a lot of people are not realizing is that sometimes you're comparing yourself to something that's not really real. I'm telling you guys from experience, I've had to see it myself. I've met people that on Instagram, it makes it seem like they're living the absolutely best life in the world, that they got it all figured out, that they can't fail, that they have the most amazing marriage, the most amazing everything. But when you get a chance to actually peek behind the curtain, you actually realize that it's actually not. And you realize that you've been comparing yourself to something that wasn't actually there. It was never there. It was just the perception. Because unfortunately, in the world that we live in today, perception is reality. Perception is, why do I say that? Because of what we see. Right? If we see somebody for example, if we see somebody driving a nice car, what is the perception? If someone was to pull up right now and drive through your neighborhood or wherever you are in a Rolls Royce, what is the perception? That guy is rich, that guy is wealthy. That's the perception. Okay? They have money. Okay? But sometimes that's not, because we don't know the reality, which is maybe they rented it. Maybe they rented that. Maybe it is theirs. But it's all perception. Let me explain why this works. Now, I'm gonna tap into the training now because I really want you guys to really understand this. Very important. Okay? Because it's very key. When it comes to perception, there's 5 things you got to understand. All right. And I want you guys to write this down. Okay. Point number 1, when it comes to perception, real quick, you got to understand perception versus reality. All right. That's number 1. You got to understand perception versus reality. Perception is going to be what you see, but it's also how others see you. And even though you may not be where you want to be at, you got to understand that if you want people to change the way they see you, you have to change the way that you see yourself. I'm going to repeat that again. Perception is not just how you see things. Perception is how others see you. And if you want to change the way others see you, you have to change the way you see yourself. Now, a big question I want you to write down and ask yourself is, how do I see myself? If you were to step out of your body and look at yourself and you could judge yourself, how would you see you? Do you see yourself as a handsome, beautiful person? Are you consistent? Are you disciplined? Do you have good emotional intelligence? Do you have trauma you have to heal? Do you understand how you see yourself? Are you at the weight that you want to be at? How do you see your body? How do you see yourself? Because remember, this is how people are seeing you. How you see yourself is how people see you, because guess what? That is the energy that you are putting out. Okay. So you got to understand this. This is very important. If you want people to change the way that they see you, you have to change. You have to become better. You have to change your ways. You have to change your habits. You have to change the way you dress. You have to change the way you speak. You have to change the way you show up. You have to change the way everything needs to change. You can't expect to stay the same and for people to change the way that they look at you. I had to completely change my whole entire dynamic. Remember, I was just a regular guy from right here, New York. That's all that was. A regular kid who grew up in New York City who had big dreams. Okay. Small city, big dreams. Okay. That's all I was. Okay. And I grew up in the hood, in the neighborhoods. So for people to change the way that they was looking at Nano, because remember, to people, I was just Nano, the kid who grew up on this block, who chilled on this block, who grew up with this person, did this, played some baseball. That's all I was to people. So when I started doing entrepreneurship, it didn't matter that I was doing a business. I was still living in the same apartment. I was still living with my family. I was still going to the same grocery stores as them. I was still getting haircuts in the same haircut spots as them. I was still doing the same things that they were doing. So how are they going to trust that somebody that lives in the same neighborhood as them, goes to the same places as them, is going to be able to change their lives? I struggled a lot at the beginning because of that. That's why a lot of my business at the beginning was built with strangers, was built with people who didn't know me personally, because the people around me that grew up with me, they had a perception of Nano. Nano's just Nano, the kid who grew up on this block. He chilled here. We used to smoke then. We used to go out to drink here. Boom, 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 boom. But that was all I was to them. I wasn't a successful entrepreneur to them. I wasn't a world renowned speaker to them, a podcast host, an educator. I wasn't any of those things, because all they knew was how they saw me at the time. So remember, in order for me to change the way that others saw me, I had to change. Okay. Now, Nano, how did you change? Well, I had to do the things that others weren't willing to do. And what did I do? People weren't willing to wake up early and work on themselves. I started to do that. I started to wake up early. I started to be in the gym early in the morning. I started to read every day. I started to meditate. I started to listen to podcasts and audios instead of listening to music. I started to get closer to God. I started to do things differently. Okay. But it wasn't just my habits that I changed. I changed the way that I was speaking. Okay. I had to change the way that I was speaking. I was no longer speaking like everybody else. Okay. I stopped speaking that way. I started to elevate my vocabulary. Okay. On top of that, I also started to change the way that I was dressing. Because remember, you got to dress how you want to be addressed. So I started to pull up to the hood in suits and ties. I started speaking differently. I started saying no to the let's smoke. I started saying no to the weekends, let's go out and drink. Yo, Nano, what's up, bro? Let's go get some drinks this weekend. Nah, bro, I gotta stay in and build the business. Yo, Nano, come chill with us. Come smoke with us tonight, bro. Nah, I can't, because if I end up going to smoke, I'm not gonna be able to wake up on time, to do my morning routine. When people would play around and we're in the hood, you know how it is growing up in the hood. Yo, I'm broke, man. I don't got no money. I would be the one that would be like, yo, I got an abundance of money. I got more than enough money flowing to me each and every single day. And then it'll be the joke, like, yo, we know you rich, bro. We see you. And I'm like, I am rich. I am abundant, bro. But I was really broke. You understand what I'm saying? Like, in reality, I was broke though. I didn't have money. But in my mind, I was changing my vocabulary. I was changing the way that I was speaking to myself. I was changing the way that I was dressing. I was changing the way people saw me. I wasn't doing the same things that I was once doing, because if I want to change my life, I need to change everything about me as an individual. And it's the consistency behind it now. So it wasn't like I just did it for a week and that's it, and then I went back to being old Nano. No, like, when I tell you guys that I had to starve my old self so I can feed my new life, that's what I did. The old Nano had to die so that the new Nano could be born. And when I made that decision, that's when my life started to change. I let the old Nano die. I starved the old Nano, starved him until he had no more. I no longer fed the ideas of being broke, of struggling financially, of not having enough to make ends meet, of being broke. I no longer fed those ideas. I no longer fed the ideas of lack of consistency, the procrastinator Nano, the Nano that didn't like to go to the gym, the Nano that thought that reading was for nerds. I no longer fed that version of Nano anymore. That Nano was keeping me broke, busted, and disgusted. I had to stop feeding that Nano. I used to think that showing up to events in a t-shirt and some jeans and some sneakers was, bro, I used to think like, yo, I'm that guy. I'm going to show up in jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt to a business event. And because I thought that I was that guy, I would do that. I would speak like this, and I would speak like if I was in the hood everywhere. Like if I wasn't, like if I was on the streets of New York, I would speak like that everywhere. I would tell people, yo, I'm broke. I had to starve that version of Nano. And then I had to feed the new Nano. Who was the new Nano? The new Nano was the six-figure version of Nano. The new Nano was disciplined. The new Nano was committed to his personal development. The new Nano invested back into himself and bought himself some nice clothes. The new Nano was speaking different, was only speaking in abundance. He wasn't speaking in lack. He was believing in himself. So it took time to feed that version of Nano. And guess what? People thought I was crazy. People thought that, yo, what are you doing? This is not going to work. You're delusional. Blah, 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 blah. But remember, I had to change the way that I saw myself so that others can change the way that they were looking at me. And I did that long enough. I would say it took me about 2 years. Naturally, I would say it took me about a solid 2 years of work, of real work. And then what ended up happening was, after 2 years, guess what? I moved from New York to Miami. And you see, what ends up happening is this. You start to grow, right? I'm growing every day. That gap, that distance, as long as I'm in the same neighborhood as them, it doesn't hurt them. When I moved to Miami, that distance increased. And now I've separated myself so much. I didn't change. I just chose to grow. That's all it was. I didn't change. Yes, I did change, but I was still the same guy deep down within. I just chose to grow. Sometimes, write this down, you have to leave them to lead them. You have to leave them to lead them. I had to leave my neighborhood so I can lead my neighborhood. I had to leave my friends so I can lead my friends. I had to leave my family so I can lead my family. And that is sometimes hard for some of us to comprehend and for some of us to accept because we love these individuals so much. But if you actually love them, you would focus on you a lot more so that you can change you. Because the only way that your life changes is if you change. So you got to be very mindful moving forward on how you present yourself, both in professional settings and in personal settings. That's why even for the smallest events now, back then, even for the smallest events, we could, the other day, we did an event for just 2 people. I showed up suited and booted. Why? Because it's all about the way people see me. If I show up in some jeans, if I show up in some shorts, how are people gonna see me? This is supposed to be your six-figure earner. This is yes. This is your mindset educator. He showed up here in shorts and some sneakers and a t-shirt. This is who y'all call y'all six-figure earner? No. I show up suited, three-piece suit, nice haircut, nice smile, good cologne, smelling good, good firm handshakes with eye contact, making sure you greet people in the room, speaking only abundance and clarity and love. Now you're held at a different standard. You're not seen on the same level as everybody else. And that is something that a lot of us starting now need to start implementing. Don't wait till you get there to start moving like that. Remember, you got to become the person now. That's why I tell people all the time. I'm like, yo, you guys see me now, but I was like this when I was broke. When I didn't have money in the bank, I was like this. When I was broke, I was I was dressed like this already because I was working to become the person I wanted to become. It's like the railroad story. You guys ever heard the railroad story? I'll tell you guys a little story. There's a railroad story about this guy who takes the train to work every single day. And every single day he gets on the train and he's a construction worker. Okay, he's a construction worker. So every day he gets on the train with everybody else, and he's dressed always very nice in his three-piece suit, very beautifully, nice and tailored, good haircut, nice bag, and he always sits down very sophisticated and super nice. And day after day, he sits down in the same seat, and out of a curious look, this woman that's always on her way to work as well asks him, "Hey, what do you do for work?" And he's like, "I'm a construction worker." And she's like, "Really? You don't look like a construction worker because you don't have any of your rags on. You don't have any of your construction clothes on, like the rest of the guys that get on the train." And he's like, "Well, I really appreciate the compliment and I'm glad that you noticed. But the thing is that right now, where I'm at is not where I'm at. I'm dressed for the person I'm going to be, not for the person that I am right now." I'm gonna repeat that again. I'm dressed for the person I'm going to be, not for who it is that I am right now. Right now, he was a construction worker, but he wasn't dressed as a construction worker. He was dressing for the person he was going to be, which was the CEO of a construction company at some point. You need to start dressing like the person that you are going to be now. And you may be like, "Well, Nano, I don't have the money to do that." Trust me, guys, you can find cheap clothes out there to make it look good. Believe me, I found real good, solid clothes I found suits for less than $200. Trust me, there's places where you can find good, cheap clothes to make it look good. Remember, everything is perception. I used to pull up to events. Listen to this. I would pull up to events in cheap $200 suits. Cheap. I just knew how to make them look good. And I would pull up to events in these nice suits, nice tie, tailored, the whole nine. But people don't know I paid $200, H&M, Zara type vibes, right? There were people in the room that had way more money than me. But because I showed up in a nice suit, more people were talking to me. In the train, people were looking at me. When I would pull up to buy Starbucks, wow, bro, you look so good. Yo, what do you do for work, man? Not knowing that in reality, right? I wasn't really where I wanted to be, but guess what? I was dressing like the person that I wanted, that I was working towards. Okay. Even though I was broke and I wasn't where I wanted to be at, guess what? I wasn't dressed like I was where I was. I was dressed like the person that I was going to be, the six-figure earner, the podcast host. This perception. Everything is perception. This is so important. You got to understand that. You got to change the way that you look at yourself so that people can change the way that you look at you. Because now look at $200 is not cheap. It really is, Brittany. Let's be honest. $200 nowadays is not really that much. That's a night out with your friends. $200 is low key cheap if you think about it. For a full suit, I'm talking about jacket, shirt, tie, pants, and shoes. $200, that's low key a steal if you think about it. But if you don't think it's cheap, then change the way that you're looking at things, right? For some, $200 is cheap. For others, $200 is expensive. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? It's all perception. It's exactly what I'm saying right now. So you got to remember this, guys. This is so key because now think about it. Think about this. People were now saying to me, bro, you look like $1 million. You look like a chairman. You look like a six-figure earner, bro. You look like you got money. Now, those are the confirmations right there. Okay, those are the confirmations that what I'm doing is working. Right? So if you guys were to pull up to an event in a nice suit, in a nice dress, with a nice, good cologne, so on and so forth, good perfume, people are going to look at you and people are going to be like, damn, girl, you look good. That dress look good on you. You smell good. Damn, bro, that suit looks amazing on you. Right now, what is happening? You're changing the way people look at you. You know why? Because you chose to change the way that you look at yourself. That is so important, guys. That is so important. So that's number one. You got to understand perception versus reality. You got to change the way you look at yourself so that others can change the way that they look at you. Number two, okay, there is a power in perception when it comes to building your brand as well. Okay, how are you showing up on social media? How are you promoting yourself to your friends, to your family, to your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your husband, your kids? How are you now promoting yourself? What are you doing to promote yourself differently? How are you showing up to events? How are you showing up to the gym? How are you showing up to your friend's house? How are you showing up on social media? How are you showing up to these different places? But it's not about just how you're showing up. It's also about how you're speaking at these places, how you're speaking on social media, the things that you're posting. You can't say, hey, I want to be this, I want to be that, and I'm going to be a millionaire and a successful business owner, but then you're posting stories smoking a blunt. You can't do that. You can't try to build a professional image and then you're up on Instagram twerking and posting pictures smoking with your friends. You can't do that. You can't do the opposite. Okay, you cannot do the opposite of that. Am I saying you can't do it? No, I get it. You like to do your thing, you like to dress, you like to have a smoke. But remember, perception is what people see. If you want to do that, keep that for your close friends. Keep that for the things that people can't see. Your perception is everything. So you got to protect your brand, because remember, you are a brand. All of you on this call are a brand. Nikki, you're a brand. Haley, you're a brand. Natasha, you're a brand. Linda, you're a brand. Yana, you're a brand. Chantel, you're a brand. Raj, you're a brand. You guys are brands. Okay? So you have to protect that. So how you show up on social media, how you show up at events, how you show up everywhere, whether you think people are paying attention or not, people are. People are. Everyone's paying attention. Everyone's looking. Everyone's judging. Am I saying that you should care? No. What I'm saying is you should care enough about how you see yourself, because how you see yourself is how the world is going to see you. If you see yourself as a successful businesswoman, a successful business owner who leads by example, who does so and so, and bam, 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 then that's how the world is going to see you. But if you don't care enough about yourself and you just show up however you want to show up, and you just say whatever you want to say, and you don't hold yourself at certain standards, and you know what, people are going to treat you the exact same way. So when certain people treat you a specific way and you don't feel good about how people are treating you, look at yourself, because it's probably based off of the standards that you set about yourself that the reason why people treat you the way that they do. You're not holding yourself at a higher standard. You got to understand that. And it happens a lot in relationships, right? For men and for women, right? If you don't have certain standards for yourself, then the other person will treat you to the level of the standards that you hold yourself. You don't love yourself, they will treat you how you're supposed to be treated, because you don't hold yourself to a certain standard. But if you have standards and you don't accept anything below those standards, then they will treat you the exact same way. And it's a learning lesson that all of us have to learn, women and men. Okay? All of us I even had to learn that, in terms of the standards that I have to set for myself, but also the standards that others have that I have to meet in order for them to have me in their lives. Okay? Set a standard, and anything below that, don't accept it, because you will be settling. Okay? That is the key. And it has to do with your brand, it has to do with your business, it has to do with your friends. You have a certain standard that you want from your friends. If they're not meeting those standards, then you have to start separating yourself from them. Not that you don't love them, not that you're not going to hang out with them, but now that time has to be limited. You understand what I'm saying? You got to start seeing things for what they are, guys. If you want to elevate your life, you're going to have to start setting standards, high standards, because the life that we want is a high standard life. We have a high standard for our life. So we have to start setting those high standards and communicating with people. Yo, these are my standards. And if you can't meet them, then we are not aligned. Not that we can't be friends, not that I don't love you, but we can't do this together right now. I got to go be like this. You got to set the standards, familia. Trust me, that's the key. So number 2 is the building of perception, right? Well, I mean, the perception of building your brand everywhere you go. That's number 2. Number 3, all right, is leveraging perception to influence outcomes. Let me explain this. Leveraging perception to influence outcome. Now, this is a perfect example. Leveraging perception, okay, to influence outcomes. I'm going to use the perfect example. when I started changing the way that I dressed, remember, if I change the way I dress, everything will change because it's what people see. So I have two options. I can show up to an event in jeans and a t-shirt, or I can show up to an event in a nice three-piece suit, right? I know if I show up in jeans and a t-shirt, no one's gonna take me serious. If I show up in a nice suit, I can leverage this now. Because in their perception, I'm successful, I have money, I have experience, and I know what I'm doing. I can leverage that opportunity now for someone to see me and know that because I'm dressed like this, they're going to want to do business with me. Because I'm posting content in suits, people on Instagram don't know who I am. They don't know who I am. They don't know where I grew up. They don't know anything about me. So in their eyes, they're going based off of what they see. So you can leverage that. You can leverage that perception to influence others. And it's not that you're being fake because you truly believe it. You're working towards that. Okay, you're working towards being that success story. So it's not that you're being a fake. Remember, they say fake it till you make it. No, it's faith it till you make it. Faith, Faith. Faith it till you make it. You have faith that even though you're not there yet, you're going to get there. Even though you don't have the money in the bank account yet, you know you're going to have the money at some point. Faith it until you make it. It's so important for all of the 170 plus that we have on this call right now. Faith it till you make it. You got to leverage perception to influence outcomes. If you show up a certain way, if you show up for your teams a certain way, everything will start to change. You show up to events, always suited. You show up to calls, nice. Show up nicely in a good, solid way, the way people are going to see you. Now that's going to change the outcomes. Because if you showed up in a t-shirt and some jeans, am I saying that people are not going to respect you and follow you? I'm sure there's people that still will. But the chances of you having a higher percentage of people to follow you are going to grow if you show up dressed a lot nicer. That's how you leverage it to your ability. Same thing with the way you promote yourself on social media. If I did a video on Instagram like this with this regular little t-shirt from New York, right? I remember I actually bought this t-shirt at H&M years ago because it had the New York and I saw it. This is a $20 t-shirt, okay? If I did it in this t-shirt, yeah, cool, people will find the value in it, blah, blah, blah. But if I did the same video in a nice suit with a tie on, good background, so on and so forth, I promise you that I can leverage the video that I do with a suit for a better outcome because remember, it's what people see. It's all going to come down to what they see on a business and professional perspective. We need to start understanding that, guys. How we show up, we can leverage the way that we see ourselves, the perception, we can leverage it to our ability. You know what? Let me tell you guys this. You know how many people are doing that on social media right now? You know how many people are going and renting a nice car on social media? They're renting Lamborghinis, Ferraris, renting them, taking a bunch of pictures in them, standing in front of them, this, putting a course behind it. Hey, look, we're going to show you how to get this Lamborghini through this course, borrow watches from friends, get a nice haircut, do a couple things here and there, hire somebody to take a couple videos, a couple pictures. They're leveraging perception for outcomes. Are they doing it in good ethics? No, obviously, because they really didn't do it with the right intentions, right? But they're doing it because they understand what? The power of perception. It's what people see. If people see you in a Lamborghini truck, chilling, driving it, remember, people that know you know, Neno's capping. We know that's not his car. But that's the people who know you. You know, how about everybody else who doesn't know you? And even for the people who know you, think about it. Even the people who know you will think like, yo, damn, Nano got rich. Something happened to Nano. Boom, 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 boom. And they end up selling a course, making a ton of money. And then what ends up happening, yo, guys, and I'm telling you the reality of the situation because this happens. Those people end up selling these courses, making all this money. And guess what? Like T. Miller said, that's faking it. They faked it until they made it. And then now they made it. And now they really have the car. They really have the clothes. They really have everything because they were able to sell the perception that they had money when in reality they didn't have money. But because so many people bought into the perception, they bought the courses, they bought the things, they sold out the whole thing. I know a lot of people out there. There's a lot of influencers right now out there that did it that way. I'm telling you right now because I know them. I know influencers personally that did it that way. They faked it. They rented a car, they put a nice course behind it. They put money behind advertisements, bam, 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 bam. The perception was that they was rich. The perception was that whatever course they were selling was going to help them get the Lamborghini that this kid got at 22, 23 years old. And now there's 23 years old, 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds, even 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds like, yo, this kid got a freaking Lamborghini at 23 years old. I'm over here 30, 35 years old, and I'm still driving a regular car. Let me purchase this course. And then hundreds of people go buy this course that costs who knows how much. And maybe the course has some value. But guess what? They just convinced 500, 1,000 people to pay for a $500 course. You get 1,000 people to pay for a $1,000 course, you just made $500,000. You know what I'm saying? You just made $500,000. $500,000. You know how much it costs you to rent a Lambo for one day? It probably costs you $1,000, $1,500. Advertisement, everything else, you probably paid $2,000 for the whole thing. And those $2,000 made you $500,000. I've seen it. Is it always like that? No. Do you need to have the right marketing strategies and there is a lot of moving pieces that need to happen for that to happen? Yes, absolutely. But all I'm explaining to you guys is that there's a lot of people out there right now that are leveraging perception for income to change the outcome of things. Perception is reality. You got to understand that. Okay. Am I saying to go do it that way? I don't believe in that. I'm the type of person, I want to earn mine. I want to do it the right way. I want to invest into myself. I don't want to put up an image or a movie that I'm really not living. If you see me ever with the Lamborghini, it's because I worked on it. I got to it. I did what I was supposed to do. I got to the income, not because I faked it. Okay. Now, if there's people that want to do it, hey, I pray for them, and I pray that they're able to do it with the right intentions and stuff. But remember, not everybody's gonna be like that. But I want you guys to be aware because it's out there. People leverage perception to influence outcomes. It happens all over the world, right? I leverage my perception by the way that I dress, the way that I speak, the way that I show up, okay? The way that I do everything else, I leverage my perception that way through social media, through events, through teams, through businesses. I leverage my perception through that way. Is there bad and negative ways to leverage perception as well? Of course. I know people who have posted fake profits, fake trading accounts, fake e-commerce sales, fake crypto portfolios. Perception, fake ranks, all the stuff that you could ever imagine. Perception, remember, is what people see. You guys got to pay attention, and you guys got to question everything. Don't fall for everything. I'm telling you, I've seen it all. I've seen it all in this world. So that's number 3. Let's go to number 4 so we can wrap up this call. Okay. You got to learn how to deal with negative perceptions. Okay. You got to understand negative perceptions, dealing with them. Now, a lot of people are going to have negative perceptions of you. Just remember this. People who have negative perceptions of you, they are just basically, they are trying to impress their fears and their insecurities onto you. Learn how to block the perceptions of other people on you. Not everybody's going to see what you see. When people saw me dressing in suits, people thought that I was like, yo, who does this guy Nano think he is, showing up to the hood in suits and speaking like this? People thought I was like a fake. And people were like, yo, this guy right here, bro, you still live with your mom, bro. Like, stop trying to flex on us, bro. Like, you still live at your parents' house. You still eat at the same places as us, bro. Some people are going to project, you have this thing that this network marketing thing is going to work. And what, you're going to teach us something now, bro? You this new mindset coach. You're doing these morning calls every day. You're not, I always tell the story about the guy that, I told him about what my dreams were, what my goals were, and I wanted to buy a house in here and this. And you know what he told me? Like, yo, do you really believe you're gonna get those things, bro? Like, he's like, yo, be more realistic, bro. You a hood kid. So imagine you telling people like, yo, these are my dreams. Like, yo, I'm gonna buy a house in San Diego off the cliff of, Sunset Hills and all these things. And I'm telling them my dreams. I want to have a condo overlooking Central Park. I'm gonna have my beach condo in Miami. I'm gonna drive this car. I'm telling people my dreams. And people are telling me, like, bro, be realistic, bro. Be realistic. You really think you could get those things? That's projection. That's them projecting. You know why? Because those are their fears, their insecurities. That's their insecurities. You have to learn how to block other people's perceptions of you because that's what they see. And you got to understand that other people have terrible perceptions. Other people have terrible perceptions. Very bad ones, very negative perceptions because of how they see themselves. They don't see themselves ever living that life or speaking that way or dressing that way. So if they see you do it and you are a reflection of their insecurities and their fears, then all they have to do now is project. And remember, misery loves company. So if they see you trying to move forward, they're going to try to bring you back. If they dream too big, if you dream too big, they'll try to shoot it down. Like my sister Tia said the other day, the easiest way to kill a big dream is to tell it to a small mind. Sheesh, when she said that, hit me like a ton of bricks. I literally thought about that. I thought about the story I just told you guys when she said that. The guy that tried to kill my dreams because I told it to a small mind. He was small-minded. He was just thinking the hood. I was thinking global. I was thinking millions. The easiest way to kill a big dream is to tell it to a small mind. Sheesh. And that is the reality of the situation right there. That is the reality of the situation. So you got to learn how to deal with negative perceptions. Remember, anyone who speaks negatively of you, you know who you are. This is why it's important to know who you are. If you know who you are, you know you're successful, you know you're wealthy, you know you live from a state of abundance, you know that you are this individual. Anyone that speaks anything outside of that, you got to learn how to block that. Because it's going to happen. One of the most important things that any of us can know how to do is know who we are. You got to know who you are. Who are you? This is why the daily deep work has to happen. And you know what? This is going to come from the people closest to you. It's going to come from your friends, your family, co-workers. It's going to come from the people closest to you. You got to learn how to manage negative perceptions. And then last but not least, number 5 is perception and resilience. Perception and resilience. This is a key one right here. You got to remember, yeah, Mike, your girlfriend, boyfriend, absolutely. Perception and resilience. What do I mean by that? Poker face. Yo, the world could be falling apart. You can never let anybody see that. That is the truth. Poker face the whole time. You could be going through the toughest times. Don't let people see that. Don't let them see it. You know how many times I jumped on this call? Heartbroken, going through business issues. I showed up, big smile, baby. Not because I had to keep the poker face with you guys, because I know you guys love me and you guys are going to accept me for whatever anyways, but it's something you got to learn in life and in business. You got to have perception and resiliency. You know why? Because you're going to deal with a lot of failures. I was listening to 50 Cent and his new book, and he said 1% of success is what you see. He said the other 99% is the failures. People only see the 1%, which is the success, but people don't see the other 99%, which is what? The failures. And you got to keep your perception of yourself and of the situation true. You got to stay true to you during those times. No matter how hard it is, no matter how hard you fall, you keep going. You keep showing up. You keep reading. You keep going to the gym. No matter how hard it is, you keep going, family. Keep going no matter what. No matter what, you keep going. Trust me, that's going to be the game changer right there for all of you. Everyone here, put a 2 in the chat box if you're dealing with some challenges right now. If you're going through any challenges right now, business, personal, emotionally, spiritually, any challenges, right? I'll put some 2s for sure. Me too. We're all going through challenges, familia. All of us. All of us are dealing with some kind of challenges in our lives. But we must be resilient through those challenges, which means that resilience. What is resilience? Being able to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Can you bounce from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm? Can you do it? Can you stay and can you love on the failures and appreciate the failures and appreciate the challenges? Everything that's happening in your life is happening for you. It's not happening to you, fam. You need to understand that. Nothing that's happening in your life right now is happening to destroy you. It's happening to build you up. It's happening to make you aware. It's happening to strengthen you in areas where you're weak. Stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the lesson that is wanting to teach you. It's happening for you, familia. I want you to understand that. Layla, what you're going through is happening for you. Myra, what you're going through is happening for you. Gio, Amy, Brittany, Josie, Joel, all of you guys on this call. Everything that's happening right now is happening for us. It's happening to strengthen us, to make us better, to help us learn, to help us become the version of ourselves that we said we wanted to be. So if you're being challenged in your physical, it's because you need to pay more attention. If you're being challenged spiritually, it's because you need to pay attention more on those areas. You're being challenged in your finances because you need to learn how to manage your finances better. If you're being challenged with your family, it's because you're slipping up in certain areas with your family. If you're being challenged in your relationship, it's because you're slipping up on your relationship. Pay attention to the lessons, not the problem. The problem is always going to be the problem. Pay attention to the lessons, derive the lesson, learn. Learn. The other day I was watching a movie and this guy said a quote that made me jump out of my seat. And he said, people who fail back to back, people who go from failure to failure and they don't learn their lesson, he says, that's a darkness I can never understand. And that hit me. Listen to that again. People who go from failure to failure without ever learning their lesson is a darkness I can never understand. That's pretty powerful because, damn, you'd rather stay in that dark place and not learn your lesson. For real? Why don't you just learn the lesson? You've been managing your finances wrong. That's why you're struggling financially. The reason why you and your boyfriend and your girlfriend keep arguing so much is because you guys keep not paying attention to the signs. The reason why your business is not growing and is because you haven't learned the lesson. You're still not inviting, you're still not doing presentations, you're still not doing this, you're still not doing that. Traders, you're still not managing a compound plan. You still haven't got, a trading strategy to master, right? For all my business owners, for all my leaders, for all my mothers, my dads, my parents, everybody out there, there's so much lessons for us to learn. Don't stay stuck in that dark place. That's a darkness I can never understand. Why would you choose to stay in the dark when you could choose the light? Just learn your lesson from it. This too shall pass. Don't get caught up in the problems. Get caught up in the solutions, in the lessons that you're going to get from everything. All right, guys. So that is my training for today. I did go a little bit over. I didn't know I was going to get so deep into this, but I wanted to share that with you guys because I want to see you guys grow. I want to see you guys buy in to the journey that you guys are on. I don't want you guys to settle for less. I don't want you guys to hold yourself to lower standards. I want all of us to hold ourselves to high standards. I want all of us to learn from our mistakes and our lessons. I want all of us to choose the light and not choose the darkness. But how could we do that if it's not going to work for us if we don't? So with that being said, guys, that wraps up today's call. I hope you guys did get a lot of value from what it was that we covered on today's call. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Remember, guys, I do these calls for free on YouTube Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. We hop on around 10:15-ish. We're on these calls and we run them up around this time. Usually my goal is to run them for about 45 minutes or so, but sometimes they go a little bit over. Okay, but this is the time that I do these calls, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So make sure that you're plugged in. Remember, also outside of this, I have season 4 podcast that is currently out right now. All right, you guys can go listen to season 4. I got 4 new episodes that are filled with so much value. You can find them on podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can find them on Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Amazon. They're all over the place based off of whatever you guys can listen to. Make sure you guys are subscribing as well. Leave reviews, leave comments here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channels on Spotify, Apple, and all of those things. Leave reviews. I'm not asking you guys to pay me anything. We on Pandora as well. But guys, just know that we're in the right place at the right time with the right people. We have new episodes coming. I'm so excited to share with you guys some of the more episodes we have coming. And just know that me and Jasmine are working extremely hard behind the scenes. And I know that a lot of you guys are going to be able to get a lot of value from this. So remember, every Tuesday and Thursdays, you guys can get these calls for free on YouTube and on Instagram. Somebody asked me, why don't you do calls every day anymore? Because now I get paid to do calls on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I got hired by a $1 billion company to do mindset calls and train their top executive leaders. So, it's a blessing. Now I get paid to do what I once did for free. So, but I still want to give value for free. That's why I do these calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays for free, because I'm still true to my people who can't afford and can't pay and can't do those things. So, I never forget where I came from. So I want you guys to know that. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll do a quick prayer for us before we go, and we'll wrap it up right there. Quick prayer. Everybody bow your heads and let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for allowing us to wake up on this beautiful Tuesday morning. We are all extremely grateful for the lessons that you continue to teach us and all the wisdom that you're pouring into us each and every single day. each and every single one of us are committed to the vision and the mission to becoming the best versions of ourselves so that we can be the example for the rest of the world and we continue to build the kingdom exactly how we always plan to do. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for our health, for our blessings, for the abundance in our lives, for the grace, for the mercy, for the forgiveness, for our families, for the community. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you're doing for us. And we thank you ahead of time for everything that you're gonna do for us. We're so blessed and grateful to have you in our journey with us. Keep holding our hand through this process. Eliminate anything that's not serving us right now. And let's go out and have a great day. We love you and we appreciate you. In God's name we pray. Amen. 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 All right, guys. With that being said, like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this with somebody that you feel like needs to hear this. And with that being said, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday. God bless. Thank you, guys.